start off with the Banwave. Goresh, I think you've seen a lot of interaction over on your Twitter on that, so maybe you'll take it away.
Yeah, so I guess specifically regarding the Banwave, I did a video on this, but basically the gist of what I got from people reporting what happened to them is pretty consistent with the other Banwaves we've had. So pretty much up until this point, this is, I believe, the third big Banwave of the game's history. And for the most part, I think most of the bans are as a result of either people using vendors or people refunding. And the game seems to have a pretty much zero tolerance policy with regards to refunds, because even if you've refunded like once, then the game's gonna like see that as a violation of the terms of service and then ban your account. Like I said in my video that I made, there are certain instances where I could see refunds being like a logical thing to do. Like if you have a kid and accidentally purchase stuff, you want to get a refund for it. Like I could see that being a valid reason for you to refund, but the game doesn't see it that way. The game sees it as you're refunding something that you shouldn't have been refunding, like because you have the currency still on your account. So I don't know. I mean, there's instances where people are claiming innocence, blah blah blah. So it's a big controversy right now, and that's sort of what we want to talk about here, right?
Exactly.
Well,
so go ahead.
So the one that concerned me is people talking about transferring accounts. Do we have any like verified cases of an innocent person just moving their account from device to device?
Well, we have Dr. Mauld, I think, was one of the ones who, right here, if you're actually seeing on the stream, everyone, I pulled up an image. But here's a gentleman who, he's actually part of the community. He's pretty much a streamer. I mean, I've heard of his name a couple times. Brad, I know you know this gentleman. Yep. And he said that he like broke his phone, purchased a new phone, like had moved the game over to the new phone while he was getting his old phone fixed, and then switched it back, and then he got banned for that. So I'm sure he can't be the only one, but we have that's one on-screen example we have of someone that is relatively trusted in the community. I mean, he's not like super popular, but as far as I know, like he's got a good reputation. So I would give him the benefit of the doubt and believe what he has to say.
The most difficult part about this whole thing has to be the support on Bandi's side as well. Because if you are wrong, kind of like Mauld here, it was just an unfortunate situation for him. He wasn't doing anything mischievous. He was just switching between different phones because he kept changing. I'm not sure what his circumstance was, but in terms of getting support from Bandi, I mean, you're left that in the water. You can go and say, hey, this is my situation. It's unfortunate, but it seems like I was wrongfully banned and communication just isn't there. So that's what makes the situation far more worse and frustrating for a lot of people.
I was going to say, to piggyback on that, right? I believe he mentioned that the reason for the account transferring as well in between phones is I think he was in the army, or I believe he still is or was, but he's basically being transferred overseas. So I don't know. I think that kind of correlates to the region aspect of things, because I know with vendors as well, like, you know, if you were to give, you know, the vendor your account details or your ECD file, like they will basically, you know, log into your account, you know, from the account transfer, but it's from a different region. So I guess if Bandi detects like that kind of ping from, all right, well, you're logging in from like Asia, but you're in New York or something, like they'll see that as kind of like weird. So the fact that he's kind of like getting separate phones, getting new phones, and he's, you know, in different countries, it probably detected, probably notified Bandi something, like gave him a red flag. So, you know, I think he's one of the more innocent ones here, though, and I hope that, you know, everything works out for the best for him.
See, that's what makes it scary, though. I think for some of us, maybe we were interested in upgrading our device, and because there's this zero tolerance, absolute might ban hammer, and there's very little wiggle room on their end, you don't want to take the risk, because like, what if you want to do a simple transfer and then you're part of the, I don't know, collateral, you get hit as well. Well, that's a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of time that went down the drain. And honestly, it's demoralizing. It's almost to the point where, why would you bounce back? Why would you be interested in playing again when you lost everything like that?
So it sounds like all Bandi has to do is have a transparent appeals process that people are confident in. There's no issue here, right?
Yeah,
so
it gets a
clear.
little complicated too, though, because this game's a little more strict than a lot of other games. Like, for example, we have games like just one that I play, Marvel Duel, where I could have it running on my PC on an emulator and then turn that off and turn the app on my phone and instantly load up my account and switch. So if I'm like walking out of the house, I'm in the middle of a match, I could theoretically close out the app in game and then reload it on my phone and load back into the same game. So, like, but they don't want to do that because it's a risk for vendors, I think. It'll make it easier for people to try and cheat the system of buying crystals. But people are also getting banned just for messing with the ECD file, which, that's the file that contains the data that blocks you from switching your account for 24 hours. And, like, for example, anyone that has swapped their account with a friend or swapped their account between devices, if you mess with that file too much, they can definitely trigger you for that, too. So, something to be wary of.
Yeah, I mean, that's TOS violation, right? Because it's considered tampering with the game.
Yeah. It is, but it isn't, because that file, while it's publicly stored just in the game's open file, so you're not actually messing with the game files, so to speak. You're just messing with a temporary, temp file. So it's kind of a gray area, but they have seemed to approach it very aggressively.
But then I think I'm sorry, I'm kind of hopping in, because I was partially paying attention because I was playing a bit of Legends, but. I think the real question is, how do they go about fixing this, right? Because if people are getting wrongfully banned for transferring their account, and we know the reason why, especially back in the early days when it was, getting the cheap stones or cheap crystals or whatever, right? And they really finally, put their foot down about that type of thing. How do they actually go about fixing this, right? Because on one end, this technically will prevent people from still trying to do either cheap crystals or whatever the case may be, but it also screws over the people that are legitimately just trying to transfer their account over, right? But then if you kind of loosen it a little bit, then it gives a bit more wiggle room for people to try to get cheap crystals again. It feels like there's no real happy medium that can really come from this, which is unfortunate because, well, again, for example, the one dude that you guys were talking about who may be in the armed forces or whatever, it's not his fault. He got a new phone. He just wants to transfer his game to, another phone. But but because of what happened in the past, he ends up getting screwed over for just trying to get his account to another phone. So I don't know. I feel like there may not be an effective way to really fix this problem.
I agree with you. I don't think there's an effective way to fix it because they need to keep the rules pretty strict because people will try and exploit the game every which way to Sunday. But I feel like they could remedy it a little bit because right now that's a zero tolerance policy. Whether you're guilty or whether you're innocent like Dr. Mauld, there's really nothing you can do. I think if they had possibly a better appeals process or at least one period, instead of just being flat out zero tolerance, including people that are innocent, I think that could help remedy it. Because obviously the system itself can't be tweaked because the cheaters will go full force. But if there was some type of appeals process, then maybe that could help a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely it. If they did a better job on supporting and were able to communicate with the people that were wrongly affected a little bit better, then I'm sure it wouldn't be too bad. But that's really where the problem lies right now. Some of the people that are unfortunately wronged by accident, I mean, the support's just not there. You got to wait a while to hear something back. Sometimes the answer's vague. It's just unfortunate.
I mean, I think so. Personally, in my opinion, it all harkens back to the appeal system because, you're never going to solve it. People are going to keep doing it. It's just how it is. It's happened in Dokkan and everything like that. Dude, Dokkan's just never enforced it. I'm sure other games have issues. I don't know of other mobile games having issues to this extent. People actually losing their accounts. I don't know if you guys have any insight to that, but if they loosen it up, then like you said, people are going to find that loophole. And as much as that sucks, there's not a whole lot else you can really say. What's up, Craig? There's not a whole lot else you can really say at that point. Because if they go too hard on it, then everybody's like, oh my gosh, I have nothing on that. But they don't go hard enough. They're taking a big financial loss to these people who are just refunding money and getting free stuff in the game. And, you could make the argument, well, maybe they got screwed on banners and whatever else. But that's just don't play the game. That harkens back to that. So I don't know. I think it all comes down to everybody should just actually have it investigated and looked at instead of just here, send a meaningless email to this and hopefully somebody sees it in 6 months. That's the biggest issue, which I personally feel like they would probably work on, but it's also been 2 years, so I'm not 100%. And I'm also not that well informed on the procedure that these mobile games go through. Like, what do they actually do, you know?
Yeah,
But
for
yeah.
me, the worst part of the experience with the Bandai support is just those terrible robotic emails you get, which is like, I
Yep.
think no email of mine has ever been looked at by a human. It just feels like, just like mix and match text blocks that you just get back as a response.
No, it's true. Yeah. And that's so much customer service nowadays. And that's a big issue as well, just in the world in general. But I don't know, man. People are spending literally like, I mean, I know Mauled spent like thousands of dollars. And, like whether or not if you think he should or not, that's not really the point. He did. And to have it like heard by nobody, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's where it's like.
It's just, the total lack of an appeals process is the main failure here.
And to add to that, the worst thing is just they don't even tell you anything for privacy reasons. I believe that's one of their their biggest policies. They don't even say what it is that you did, so you can even ask them, hey, like, all right, if you think that I'm refunding, or is there something in particular that you're banning me for, or you can even ask what date that I refund, whatever the case may be. They won't tell you. They're not obligated to tell you. They won't. That's just one of their biggest policies. They won't tell you what it is that you got banned for. So it kind of just sucks because you're still in the dark area.
I think they do this by design, because if they tell you what you're banned for, then you can contest it by some means. And if it's just a general ban and you get these robotic messages, then they can filter them out, and it probably makes it cheaper to function the thousands of messages I'm sure they get.
I
can agree with that
still
too, yeah.
feel like I understand that, but I still feel like if people are wrongfully accused of something and they genuinely don't know what it is that they're being banned for, because they just say, all right, this account has been violating TOS, like you're just baffled, you don't know what's going on, so obviously your first instinct is to reach out to them, reach out to the company or the support team, and if you're not receiving the proper answers, it's just only going to infuriate you some more. You want answers, you have questions, and they deserve to be answered for the most part, at least. I just still don't see the privacy. Like, what is so private about it that you can't tell me what it is that I'm being accused of?
If anything, I would like them to implement a system more like Dragon Ball Fighters, where maybe because it's hard for them to tell who's actually cheating and who's not, if you are considered a habitual offender, they just put some sort of mark on your account that's like publicly visible. Like in Fighters, you get the purple name that identifies to everybody that you're a questionable player. Even going back to Marvel vs. Capcom, like when you'd quit too much in that, they'd put a skull next to your name so that everyone knows that you're less than reputable. Like, you're still allowed to play, but people can see that and just choose to not queue with you. So maybe if they took that type of approach, because that's something you can work your way out of too, because if you behave well enough, then the purple name or the little skull next to your name would go away. So it gives people an option for redemption, especially if they were innocent. So I mean, it might suck being wrongfully tagged as a illegitimate player, but at least it's something that you could redeem your way back out of if you proved that you're actually legitimate and not actually messing with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because every game is different. I know, for example, Grad Cross is similar to that, where if you are refunding, they will literally lock your account. I believe, like in the loading screen, and say you can't log in until you pay what you refunded. Like, that's it. Like, no games. Like, oh, you refunded $50. Oh, okay, nice. Good luck trying to log in tomorrow or later on today. And if you don't pay that back, like, that's basically their mentality. And honestly, if Legends did that, I mean, I'm not gonna say like, oh my God, that'd be the best thing, but you know what I mean. Like, I feel maybe that could possibly be a nice solution.
Well,
Yeah,
I've
at
heard of
least-
a.
Go ahead.
I was saying I've heard of gacha games actually putting your currency negative.
Yeah,
So-
I think Bleach Brave Souls did that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like, where it would just be in the red, and you had to earn it back or buy it back before you could make any summons or use your currency.
That could work.
Yeah, and I mean, this way you would at least have this teachable thing, because if you know what you've been banned for, at least then you're maybe not going to do it again. But if you've just been banned for no reason, or maybe you did a lot of things and you don't know which one they caught you on, then, it's not that kind of teachable thing where you're like, okay, I'll never refund again, I'll never mod again, whatever it is. But yeah, so go ahead.
I said, yeah, they'll just move on to the next game or create a second account and keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we heard a bunch of opinions here. So what I heard was mostly that a lot of people were just refunding or violating TOS with vendors. We said that there should be an appeals process, or that they could, do that the negative currency thing, or just let you know, okay, you've been banned for this.